Yes.
Or Donna, do you want to?
No, I mean, I think you need to share, cause you're doing up through the Seesaw thing. So yeah,
Yeah. No, let me make sure I got it up.
we're tag teaming it tonight. While she's doing that, I usually make my grocery list and leave it home. So now I started making my grocery list and then taking a screenshot of it just in case I forget it.
That is smart. Right. Well, you know who we are by now, Marsha. We are like old friends now. So, but tonight we are going to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say all of the things that we talk about tonight, we uploaded samples in the Google folder for you, like templates. There's Jay Brenda. I don't know what to call Jay Brenda.
Is that Penny's assistant or is that a teacher?
Oh,
I'm Penny's assistant.
that's okay. That's right. Well, I was like, she's always here. So yeah, that's right. Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're going to talk about kind of using the writing process virtually, some ideas for doing writing online with students. And then we're going to talk about virtual turn-in talks, some strategies, Google Doc stories and sensory figures, reading and writing stories, and then reading and writing poetry. So we're trying to listen to some of your feedback from last time and add some of that into our agenda for tonight. So teaching the writing process. It is a struggle in person, much less to try to do it virtually. And so we work a lot with our students on the writing process, but we're just going to talk about some of the different things that you might be able to do to kind of encourage students to engage in reading and writing kind of together. Oh, there it went. All right, so one of the recommendations is that when you're doing your writing lessons, that if you're going to, whether you're doing them synchronously or asynchronously, you kind of run them like you would in your classroom, more a mini lesson format instead of a full lesson format. And then share your screen to show the mentor text while you read aloud so that they can actually see the formation of that. Do you use mentor text, Marcia? Since we're just talking to you, do you know what I mean by a mentor text?
Not totally 100% sure, maybe not.
Mentor texts are like a passage or like a piece of writing that shows what it is that you want students to do. So it's like a mentor that they can use in their writing to reflect back on. So if it's a, help me out here, Donna.
Well, a lot of times, like in the primary grades, the mentor text might be the whole children's picture book. So you read the story and then you do a think aloud or model whatever strategy you want to do using that mentor text. But then when you get into upper grades, it could be like a section of Huckleberry Finn, or it could be a newspaper. It could be whatever whatever text that you want to use to model the strategy that you want to teach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like if you're teaching persuasive writing, yeah, I was trying to think of different types of writing. Like persuasive writing, you might have a piece that is a good example of that you share with the students. Even things as like using quotation marks or exclamation points, something that is well written that they look at and they're like, oh, now I kind of see what she's talking about. But we call those mentor texts.
Adjectives, yes, any of those things.
Yeah, yeah, and they're kind of, I would say they're kind of a newer concept in literacy. So something, but really a great thing to have like a collection of. And so that if you have a collection of those that you can post for students, so say you're working on your persuasive writing and you have a really good example of that you've walked them through, so you show that on your screen. And then they can use that kind of as a model to refer back to. Also having them do anchor charts. We even had our students create a lot of virtual anchor charts this summer because we did all of our classes virtually and they're going to be teaching. But those, those charts that kind of give them the clues as to what you want them to do or how to go about doing different things. And then end each lesson by giving students their independent writing tests, allowing them to have an opportunity that they're actually going to turn something into. And I can say as a parent, and I don't, I would get frustrated at the beginning of the year when my kids would be expected to buy like a composition book and then they'd fill in like 2 pages of it because it was supposed to be there. And we've all been there, those writing journals. So, but really making a commitment to having them write because it makes such a strong connection to their reading and making sure that they do that. And I know initially kids will be really hesitant to write, but I think the more I had my students write, the more comfortable they got with writing. It was almost like riding a bicycle or anything else. So in the mini lessons, we have our mentor text or passages can be uploaded for students to access. So if you can make a PDF of it, if you can have something where they can access that when they're writing independently, when you're not meeting synchronously, that they could do. Include rubrics that provide a clear outline of expectations. Share your writing, your screen to model your writing. And that's one of the hardest things to do, but one of the most powerful things if you're sharing your thinking about your writing while you're doing it. And then have students write in a Google Doc or other format. And I don't know what you're using, but there are a lot of like apps and things that you can use for students to write, or even just to keep an ongoing journal in a Google Doc that's held in a certain spot. We even do that with our students now with assignments and things that we keep adding to. So making sure that you include some of those items. And then incorporating peer review using, now we've talked a lot about Flipgrid, but utilize video platforms like Flipgrid and Seesaw for students to record and comment for peer review. Schedule Zoom calls or Google Meets with small conference groups instead of always a whole class type of opportunity so that you can meet with them. And then one of the things is, I think writing is one of the hardest things to do with students in a virtual environment. So think about, you just do the best you can. Even if you can't get to every group, don't just abandon groups. Maybe I get to every group over the course of a month or however it is, but making sure that you kind of give yourself that grace to do that. I want to share with you, and that's my next slide, the Seesaw app. Have you seen Seesaw at all, Marcia?
I've heard of Seesaw.
Well, it has a lot. I mean, it has the same kind. It's almost like, to me, it's like Flipgrid on steroids. It has the video platform where students can record things. That's a piece of it, but it has a lot of resources for virtual teaching that you can just take and use. And so I'm going to, one thing it has is a family app, kind of like if you've ever used, it's for classroom management, Classroom Dojo. Do you know, like you can communicate with parents through that? This has that as well. It has a huge activity lesson library. I mean, just a ton of different formats and things. And you can actually go in there and tag student skills, tag skills to student work. So it's really an excellent resource. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen for now and share with you my Seesaw that I have open just to walk you through some of what's in there.
Seesaw is so much fun too to play with.
It is. There's a lot of really good activities in here. On the main homepage, they've got a lot of resources to kind of walk you through how to use it, how to use Seesaw, but you create a class in it. But even if you didn't want to do that, because I know sometimes we're getting overwhelmed with try this app, try that, but even just to go in there to get ideas, there are a lot of really phenomenal ideas in here. They have a activities library. So you can go into their library and they have so many different virtual things, remote learning routines, fall and autumn favorites, but then it goes into all kinds of different things for writing and reading. It has every content area. When you set up your class, you can pick grade level and it'll actually suggest things for you. But it has math challenges. You can see it has different grade levels that you can pick things for. And you can organize things into folders, which is what I've got here.
You can choose by content as well, right?
Right. Yeah. If you, as you scroll on down, it has different content areas, and so you can browse by subject area or grade level, but it has just phenomenal ideas for, and the neat thing is they're created by teachers. So it's almost like Teachers Pays Teachers, but it's free. So you can't beat that.
And they're virtual.
And virtual, exactly. But you can actually link it. It looks like it has ways to link to Canvas. Is Canvas what you're using for your virtual classrooms?
No, Google Classroom.
I still think it would easily link with that as well. But it's because I know a lot of teachers are struggling with Canvas right now because of Virtual Virginia going to Canvas. It uses Canvas, and so they're struggling with how to use that. But it has, you can actually put things into folders. So like for tonight, I put in here like poetry, and so it's figurative language. So you click on it and you can actually assign it to students, but it's a resource for them to use. And then it also has like in the, here's one for on the writing process, and
You didn't share your sound when you shared your screen.
Oh, hang on. It never works well when I have in my
Earbuds.
buds. I do that because of my dogs. The whole thing with it's not children anymore. It's dogs that cause me my
Video
issues.
on page 1. This template will take you through the writing process as you develop your story to share with your audience. Make sure to click on the subtitle to view a short video on page 1 to review each step of the writing process. Number 1, make a plan. Number 2, develop a draft. You can record, draw, or type your story. Number 3,
The nice thing is, you know, sometimes we get hesitant about having our own voice on things. And so it's nice to have somebody else that can do that. But when you assign them to the class, since I don't have students in it because of being a professor, but it's got, you can go in and look at what are the assigned to class tasks. And then it has the templates that they use to do that. So it's, here's my sample student. So he would go in and actually complete this assignment and be able to submit it in there, or you can just borrow the information from the site as a resource. But it has just a ton of activities in here. One of the ones I really liked, it had two, like for, it has a, whoops, my activities. Oh, it took me back here. All right, let me go back. It has me browsing. It has a activity about a turkey letter. So it's, you know, where they're writing a persuade, or it's just to persuade their teacher to not cook them for Thanksgiving dinner. But it's just cute how it includes the details of exactly what they have to have 3 different things in here. And you know, so it ways, sometimes we just get tired of trying to come up with fun ways to do things and to have resources like that. What did you want to say, Donna?
No, yeah, I mean, and plus you're also persuading, but also teaching the parts of a friendly letter.
Right, that's exactly it. It also has a journal feature where you can have students, well, it's not going to go to, I think here you go. But you can assign a journal entry that they can do in here, and they can, and then you can give feedback back to them. I think it's spinning because I've got too many things open. But it also has a skills thing. It says use skills to see student progress towards goals in real time, tag activities or student posts with skills, and then assign a star rating so that you can kind of track students in here as well. So it's really just got a lot of different features that you can use in guiding them through the writing process. So
Nancy, will you show the parent feature, because I haven't seen that one?
okay, it has, it's in the settings. You go
Okay,
into
gotcha.
settings, you can look and see enable family access, and then you can invite families in
Gotcha.
to do it. And then that also has a blog that you can use. You can manage folders, skill color scheme, video quality. So it's, you know, so you can actually save some of the videos that the students do and archive them to your class. What's amazing is that I know I don't have any students in my class. It keeps telling me I don't have any students. I almost added you, Donna, just so I could have a student.
You should have done that. That would have been fine.
Yeah,
I
but
would have done their writing assignment.
I know I should just keep giving her homework, right?
Exactly.
But you know, just a great resource for even just finding ideas of things that you can do to engage students in writing and other content as well. Okay. And then I'm going to stop sharing that. I keep getting people moved around here. Let me see. And go back to. Oh. Sorry.
It's okay.
Present. Okay, and then go back to. Forgot to share my screen. Okay, and Donna.
Okay, cool. So you know what turn and talks are, right?
Mhm.
And think, pair, share, and then read, pair, share, and write, pair, share. So we were kind of help brainstorming with our students ways to do this in our classes. And so one of the things we had them do was message the student above or below them. And sometimes they don't have the same student that they have to message. So it might be that they message this student and another person messages them, and that's okay. It becomes a huge triangle. But if you have, do you have capability? What platform do you guys use?
Google Classroom.
Google Classroom. So I'm not sure how Google Meets works. Can they instant message each other or chat each other or?
There is a chat box that goes to the whole group.
Gotcha. So they can't do it individually?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Well, so one of the things they could do is they could say, Paul, this message is to, and then just tell them to write whoever's name it is they're chatting with. But yeah, so that it makes it a little harder, but, do they chat with each other at all during any of the Google Meets things that you do right now?
No, unfortunately, in our county, we are not required to have our students attend Google Meets. So getting them to attend is difficult. At first, we had more students who would come in, and now, I'm lucky if one pops in. That's one of the tough things about this virtual is that all the kids really, a lot of them, all they're seeing of me is my little face at the bottom of the screen when I'm recording instructional videos.
Right.
You're really seeing any of the other students for the most part. I mean, that's
Gotcha.
So you're 100% virtual right now?
no, we're both, but my
Yeah.
students.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about really for them.
Right. So is there a way that the online students can interact with the in-person students?
Yeah, actually when we create, like, I could do it as an assignment. If I create an assignment, then there's a place below the assignment for class comments.
Gotcha.
You could comment on the assignment, ask questions, and everyone sees the class comments.
Gotcha.
Respond to each other.
Cool. So is that
Do you have to approve them? That's one of my questions before they post. Just that,
No, I mean, there could be a setting that,
yeah.
to check.
But they're
but
okay.
no,
Yeah.
I've
If you've not
noticed
had any
before.
issues, yeah.
No, honestly, it's there's a class comment section and then there's a private comment. So my online students most of the time click on the private comment, but like some of my in-person students, especially earlier on when we were introducing Google Classroom and showing them things, they saw the class comment. So they're like, hey, and they're like typing a message to the person across the room, just like, hey, Brad, or whatever, I mean, but no, I haven't had any
Gotcha.
so far myself.
Right. So, yeah, so virtual turn and talks would be hard for you right now then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if there's some way to do it in the future, like number 6 is my favorite, where you set out a topic and instead of them responding with a word, they have to do like the emojis. They can do like in Zoom, we have the thumbs up and we have the heart and the different ones like that, but just getting them to respond with that. But they could peer edit with a partner. Is that something they could do?
I mean, they can do a hangout. There is a feature with Google.
Okay.
You could do a hangout and they could do things like that with a partner.
If you got enough of them to log in to have a
Yeah.
partner.
Yeah.
So, well, all right. So then I guess the other question is now you're teaching us is, so the students that are in class, can they do Google Hangouts with each other in class and peer edit?
They could. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So enough of these because we can't solve this problem tonight, Nancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
This works for like Canvas and Zoom because Canvas has discussion boards and Zoom has breakout rooms.
Yeah.
But not so
Well,
much.
and I mean, like ours would be, they call them hangouts.
Yeah.
So, they could join the meet, but then they could go do a hangout where they're communicating with each other.
Yeah, my middle school nephew, when he first got his Gmail password and stuff, he invited me to his Google Hangout, but he won't ever talk to me. He's 16. He doesn't even talk to me anymore in there.
Yeah.
I'm not cool anymore. All right, Nancy, I'm ready for the next one, I think then.
Oh, I forgot that I'm in charge of that. Okay.
So, we talked about Flipgrid. So again, that's another thing. Have them create a response to a prompt or a story element. And then they could do it from the point of view of the character. They could do it as a news story or like they're writing a gossip column. The good thing about this is they have to write it, they have to edit it, and then they have to read it. So they can, and then of course, if they present it through Flipgrid, they're getting, what is one of the new language art skills, Nancy, that they're doing? Used to be 4 language art skills, now there's 6, and I never remember the other 2.
Oh, well, one is presentation and
There we go.
publication. Like, how are they
Yes.
presenting it or publishing it? Yeah.
Right. And then virtual read alouds, one of the things that we found that the students really enjoy is if they write their own story, then reading it aloud and recording it, but also writing the story and having one of their friends read it aloud, or writing the story and then having their teacher record it as well. So it's just a new thing. But one of my pre-service teachers, she wrote a story and she wrote it about her and her grandmother. And so they did this in one of the summer literacy classes. And she recorded it, and that's what she was going to give her grandmother for Christmas. So great, she made the book and then she recorded the book so that she could give it to her. So that was pretty cool. And then there's Worded Out. This is like word clouds. Have you ever seen word clouds?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So this is like a way to do pen pal buddies where they can use Wordles to share ideas and thoughts. So that's just another strategy idea.
Did you want to link onto that website, Donna, or?
We can, yes.
It's up to you.
Well, if we do, you get to type.
Oh, that's all right. I can do that.
Okay.
Okay.
When do you guys get out for Thanksgiving?
Well, actually, they're having us do Monday and Tuesday as virtual days, so everybody gets to work from home, including me,
Yay!
including the teachers. But then, Wednesday through Friday are our actual breaks.
Gotcha.
I did not assign anything too difficult.
No, I understand. I understand.
Wouldn't
I don't
either.
blame you.
My students are working on their book project. That's what they're assigned to do Monday and Tuesday.
Very
Very
cool.
cool. Yeah.
So if they have something that they've written, they can just type it in here. So Nancy, just type something random. And so this takes their story to a totally different level.
Is that good?
Yes,
Or do
sure.
you need more than that?
No, that's fine. ABC, yeah, used to be the one that I used all the time, but it's down. I don't know what's going on with it. So this one is their story. So you could do this where they type their story in there, and then they might share it with a buddy, and their buddy has to try to rewrite the story. Depending on, you could start with one sentence just to scaffold it. You can decide the font color. You can decide the font, the color, the layouts. Click on layout, Nancy. And it'll change how the layout is.
All right. It has where you can like place larger words in center.
Yes, yes.
It doesn't seem like it's applying it to this one right now.
Well, I think if you go back to layout,
Yeah.
and then you have to click on whether it's going to go up and down or sideways, where it's portrait or, there you go. Now, does it apply to it now? No.
It might not be long enough to really change a whole lot is the problem because it's not
Right.
a full story. So,
Yeah, because it's just changing.
Yeah. yeah.
So anyway, it's a fun way to get kids. And another thing is if they do a font that is not cursive, they can print it out and cut the words out and have to glue their story. I don't know if have you ever seen Reading Recovery? In first grade, that's a remedial program to help students. It's not remediation, that's the wrong word. Anyway, it's to help give kids a little boost. So it's like a 20-week program for students, and it's a very prescribed. They read a new book, they do this, and they write a sentence every week. So writing a sentence, there you go. it would be a good way for them to write a sentence, take it, print it out, cut it apart, and have to put it back together. Just lots of cool. I love Wordles. They're one of my favorite things. Thanks for sharing it, Nancy.
I like that one. Let's see. All right.
But that would be a good pen pal activity as well. Well, I think that's where I had it listed as a pen pal activity.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling to get back to my
You're fine.
PowerPoint.
Here, let me share because the next one.
That'd make it easier since you're doing the talking
Yeah,
anyway.
no, that's
right?
fine.
Yeah.
Not a problem. And now I just have to find the PowerPoint again. All right, so we did, yes. So we just finished Word It Out. Make me small so I can see you. Make me go away. So this is one of our favorite things, is to have the students write on Google Docs. So the first thing we would do is have them interview each other and take notes. And so I tell them, all right, so you need to interview that person and just ask them questions about who they are, what they like, where do they live, what are some of their favorite things. So you can create the prescribed questions that they have to do. And so the student, when they interview that person, they have to take notes. And then the other person has to interview them and take notes. And then they each take a picture of each other, and then they go off and take their notes, and they have to write a paragraph about their partner. And this is what their special person stories. So then here's the picture of the student with the name, and this is her friend who wrote the story about her. And so we made a class book, even in, 24th grade or whatever it is that we are. So they took a picture, and then they had to, I think Brianna's in there twice, upload their friend's picture. So like Caroline, and they made it very, when they wrote it, we told them to write like they were in like 4th through 6th grade. So this is just a really cute example of one way to use Google Docs to give students that practice of interviewing each other, talking, and just practicing writing stories with each other. And they loved it. They all wanted to say, can you print a copy for me? I'll share it with you digitally. Take it to Kinko's or CVS.
And we even found with our students that they need that ability to get to know one another. I mean, even at the graduate level, they feel very isolated. And so finding ways to kind of build community and be able to do that within even our group of students has been a challenge. And so a lot of the things we've done are the same things we would hope they would do as they go into the field to be teachers, but to help build community and make those connections.
And we feel like that's been one of the biggest challenges with this virtual platform, is just trying to get that community built and maintained. Because normally, if our students have an issue by this time, and we've had them since summer 1, and they're like, not, we have that line, but they feel comfortable enough to talk to us. This year it's been a challenge to get that. All right, so I closed my I quit sharing because I want to ask you a question. Do you know what sensory figures are? Have you ever used sensory figures? No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, we like that. Yeah.
Last week, all the things I'm like, oh yeah, I do that, but I just don't have time. Sensory figures are Nancy and I's like one of our most favorite things, because you can use them for everything. And I even shared, this is a free teacher pay teachers, so I'm not like selling it or anything. It's a free one. This is where I got that from. So it's just a brainstorming graphic. It's a way to start writing. It can help you with the beginning writing part and the drafting, the brainstorming and the drafting part. So if you read a story, like for this one, this is an example of Anne Frank. So if you read the story about Anne Frank, then they have to go back and they have to pick a point in time in the story. And they, for example, like maybe when they first went in the closet. So when she first, and students, with our students, when we first model it, everybody picks the same moment in time. That's how we model it. And then when we read another story, then they can pick any moment in time in the story to write about. So one time I had a student write about when Anne Frank first went into the closet or the attic, and then another one after they'd been in there for a good while. And their what they felt Anne Frank sensed was totally different, because of course it would have to be, because it was an exciting thing at first, but then at the end it wasn't so much. So when they first start, they want to say, I see the walls, I hear the bells, I smell the food dinner cooking. But then as they progress, it becomes I see the blue colored wall. So they become more descriptive.
Mhm.
It might be like the student who wrote it at the end, I smell freedom, rather than just smells that we normally would smell. Have you ever heard of the book Henry's Freedom Box?
Well, you kind of buzzed in there. Henry's what?
Freedom Box.
I don't think so.
It's about an African American boy who mailed, it's a true story. He mailed himself from Virginia to Pennsylvania to freedom. And so that's usually one of the ones we use to model this. And a lot of the times it's like, I taste the salt on my tears on my face. So it takes them from very, gives them the opportunity to look at this character and put themselves in that person's shoes. So they have to really think about it. So when you first start doing it, it's pretty superficial, but as they continue to do it, it gets more and more descriptive, and they start building empathy and start to really feel or see, feel, hear what it might like to be that person in their shoes. You can Google sensory figures. There are millions of them out there. This one is like a patriot, loyalist, or neutral. And I chose this one because I thought a lot of times we do Virginia studies in the 4th to 6th grade thing. So it might be something that you could actually use. But sensory figures can actually be embedded in the Jamboard. And so they could actually do them on there. You could have them do it on a notebook paper. You could have them do it on a Google Doc. You could have them do it on paper and pencil and then screenshot it and then put it in a Google Doc. Lots of ways to do it, but it's a great way to do the brainstorming and the drafting part of the story, because they have to write those things about what it is they think about, what they see, they hear, they smell, they feel, then they taste. And then this one, of course, it has a little bit different.
Donna, we can't see your PowerPoint right now. You're not sharing.
I can see it just fine. I'm pointing to it and everything with my mouth. I apologize.
It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. I did a read aloud for a presentation the other night. And after I got done, they said, we couldn't see the screen. And but you were so involved in the story, we just let you keep going. Yes. Thanks. So this sensory figure, they can draw the character. You can give them a cutout of the character. You can decide how you want to do it. Sometimes we'll give them the character and they're like, oh, I want to draw it myself. But there's a lot of choice in this, but it's also very prescribed because you're giving them the guidelines and the parameters of how to do it, but then they get to interpret it in their own ways. So sensory figures are a good way to learn about character development, social studies topics, science topics, about scientists. It's a good way to pull characters out and let them try to figure out what it is to be in that person's shoes. But you can teach skills along with it.
I really like this. I know I've told you ladies before, last year was my first year in English.
Right.
For math. So all summer long, I'm, studying and finding books. And
right.
I found this book called A Long Walk to Water.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's such a good
And
book.
I read that to my students as a read aloud at the beginning of the year. And they just loved the book. And I read it again this year and the same thing. And that would be such a good activity for them to do with that book as I'm reading.
Well, and they could do the character they could draw the character for that chapter and then have a little book of that story. What
at different times in his life. Yeah, exactly. I love that activity.
And Donna, you put it in the
one.
folder too. We're going to go into the folder in a little bit, right? It's in there.
Yes.
So that you've got, it's there on our Google.
And Marsha, I think Nancy's going to do some more stuff in a few minutes. I have some additional ones that I didn't put in there. I'll send you some more.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you like it, I will give you. If you want to use it.
Yes.
Right.
But we didn't want to overwhelm.
I love it. I wrote that down. I was writing that down.
It's one of my favorite activities. I started doing it in social studies, and then I was like, oh, this will work here. I could do this with this. And then a lot of times we give them like a book or something, an activity they have to do, and we let them choose what kind of graphic would you want to do, to show. And a lot of them will choose the sensory figures.
One of the things we do a lot with our students that would apply to you working with your students is we tell them when they're working with their students that they have things that they go to as a teacher that are kind of like their toolbox, but that their students do too. So present not a lot of strategies, but present some strategies and let students have some choice in it so that they feel like they're more connected to it, because that piece of choice is so important. And
Well,
so
and
we
that's
have
one of the-
yeah.
Yeah, because you guys talked about lack of motivation and engagement, and part of that is giving them some choice with how they present their information.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're and it's a hard thing I know for teachers to do is, yeah, but I need them to do it this way. Well, yeah, but if this is the assignment, what is the goal you want them to, what is the end product you want to see? Okay, so it can be a story, it could be a graphic organizer, it could be an article, it could be a written response, it could be a picture of something that they draw. So it's they can show they have the understanding. If you give them the choice to do that, and I'm not just like the proverbial you, if they're given that choice, it gives them, and research has shown that choice is a huge thing for students, because all day long we tell them, sit down, shut up, sit down, shut up. And now it's like, oh, wait, look, sit down. Here's some things you can choose which way you want to do it. And it's a motivator for students. And a lot of times it helps keep them engaged. Not all the time. Sometimes nothing will work, but a lot of times it's a good engagement strategy. And our
It even works with college students. They like
it does.
having
I was going to say
choice.
they love doing sensory figures. So the Jamboard, I know we've talked about this, and so I just took the anticipation guide double entry journal that I had shared with you briefly last time, and so the book we were going to do it with is the One and Only Ivan. I made some prediction questions, and then so they can decide whether they agree or disagree. So these questions would be just like for the first chapter. So do they agree? Do they disagree? And if they agree or disagree, they have to pull something in from the text that shows why it's a true or false, why their agreement was correct, or if it was wrong. So they can write something there, and then they can write a brief self-reflection. So it gives them the opportunity to read and write kind of like synchronously. So that's just one, I shared that. And you'll have, when you click on that link, it'll take it to you. Story Jumper is a way for students to make class books. I'm not going to share this video with you because we only have like 20 minutes left, but it's like a 2-minute video that tells you how to use it. It's really easy. I don't think I made a class. I might have. No, I don't think I did.
The nice thing is, like a lot of students don't want to make books because they can't draw or they feel like it's their art ability. And this has images that are already in there that they can pick from.
Yeah,
which is really helpful.
And if they want to buy it when they're done, they can. It's not, it's still, I mean, like I made this and it's still here. I made it a few weeks ago. So then I didn't put I didn't type any of this stuff. I just went really quickly through it. Go back. I did say something. My name is Donna. My birthday's July. I was born in Tazewell. And then I just didn't fill in the rest of the pages, but they can click in and just, oh, I'm sharing it, not typing in it. So I'm not I can edit. One interesting fact about me. Oh, here we go. You can change the person. My pets are Molly. That's all I have right now. But they can type on it. I'm a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles and VT. So, I mean, it's really easy for them to navigate. And then they can share it with each other, and I can put a picture of me in there, which I did not do. I can save and edit. I can collaborate with other people, which I think I just clicked off that. But you can collaborate, but you can do lots of things with it. It's really easy to navigate, and it's something that they can save and have their own books to share with other people. And if they want to buy it, if their parents are rich, they can also.
But they can download it as well, so you could have it. They could, yeah, they could submit it as an assignment.
This is fun English games and it's writing games, and VT does not like Flash Player, so I can't download Flash Player, but I have used this before on different computers, and it's got, I'll take you there. It's got lots of different writing games for students, debating games, newspaper activities, different things, but it's once I click on it, it won't let me go because I can't download the Flash Player. But it tells you all of the different activities. So it's also a good, if things are getting boring and you want, hey, let's do this. One of my favorites was the story writing because it helps give them prompts. It gives them, what is the word? Ad libs. It's like an ad lib type thing
Yeah.
where they just fill in the blanks. So it's got some fun things. You can choose other activities, games, quizzes, lots of fun things that you can do with students, and it's free. It's also free. You create a free account, and then there's lots of different things, skills that you can teach, different content areas that you can teach. And then Storyline Online. Have you seen Storyline Online?
No.
Okay, this is one of the most wonderful sites ever. Celebrities do read alouds of books. So
Oh, Donna froze.
our children, I call them our children. Hang on. Why are you not coming? I'm just not being patient enough. So this is read by Angela Bassett. And so they all have a book. And these are all popular children's books. For example, here's my favorite. I'm just going to show you. It's got the amazing. Is it still here? Please be there. Why are you not? Harry and the Dirty Dog. Go.
I don't know why it's putting those percentages in, Donna.
I'm not sure either. Okay. All right, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to type it the other way. It's read aloud by, if I can type, Betty White.
I love Betty. Well, it did the same thing, but maybe it'll work.
It wants me to donate. Not right now. All books. Here we go. There it is.
There it is.
And so a lot of our students, when we first did it, they were like, oh my God, that's Nick Jonas. So they knew the people. So you can search if there's a celebrity you think they might like and see if somebody, or, from a show or something. But you can also go back to all books and it'll give you all the books that are, and read alouds are great. No matter what grade they are, it's okay to read aloud.
I love to read aloud.
Me too. And this is a really good way for them to read at home as well, because this is a totally free site. But you can tell them Library Lion is one of my favorites too, and The Kissing Hand. It's got such great books. But they're all what we would call was mentor text. I will tell you, even though this says suggested first and second grade later, first and second grade level, The Night I Followed the Dog is amazing.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. So anyway, so that's just another resource. They're all online. It's such a great website, and when it first came out, I have been using it for probably the last 10 years. And when it first came out, there might have only been like 20 books, and so it has grown exponentially. But the cool thing about it is they can listen to the story, and they can, you can assign them the same story to listen to individually. Then they can come back together and they have to write a summary of it, or they could even write an alternate ending, again, using Google Doc. So it's just fun ways to use stories in a great platform. All right, so Nancy, do you want to do this part? Do you want me to do this part?
We can just kind of do it together.
Okay. Yeah.
One of the things that we have found was really helpful in building community was doing a lot of poetry writing, and having, sometimes teachers are intimidated by teaching poetry because we think back to the haikus and those types of things that we were forced to do. But there's a lot of really
pentameter,
cool
iambic, yes,
iambic pentameter. But having them do poems that had kind of a form to them that they could follow was really helpful to give them that comfort level. Do you ever do anything with poetry, Marcia? Or
Yes.
Yeah. And so we've actually put into the folder the kind of outlines of these different poems, the found poems, the best part of me, where I'm from, and the 6-room poem. And we use them even with our students to kind of build that sense of community to help them get to know one another, because we really learn a lot about each other as we go through these poems, and they found they really enjoy doing them.
I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I need to share with Volume to show her the next one.
Okay. I might share real quick the folder where these are located so we can see some of them. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. Let me
You find the folder while I let her see the
Oh, okay.
the poetry book. So one of our students, their job was to write the poetry book, and then they had to present it.
The best part of me, my eyes, green and round. My eyes allow me to see the world around me, to see the
Donna,
beauty
we're not
of
seeing it.
everyday life,
You're not seeing it?
to see the beauty.
All right, hang on. Probably because when I shared my screen, I shared the wrong one. Don't you know? All right. We've got sound. Go back here. Share it from there.
We could hear it. We just couldn't see it.
Right. Thank you. I need to move this little guy out of the way. All right.
There you go.
Now,
The best part of me, my eyes,
can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
green and round. My eyes allow me to see the world around me, to see the beauty in everyday life, to see the people I love, to taking
I'm gonna
everything
fast forward
in,
just a little bit.
worn then passed on, from Costco samples and swimming caps.
This is her where
I'm
I'm
from
from.
shared bedrooms, messy, loud, whispering when they're supposed to be asleep. I'm from making palm crosses. I'm full of love, kings drifting down, cheering hokies jumping to interstate
I had
Sandman,
to choose.
purring
I
cats
can't remember what this
curled
was
against
called,
me,
Nancy.
sweet oranges dripping with
They had to
juice,
choose a color.
monarch
Yeah.
butterfly gliding through the air, examples of found poetry,
Then they had to.
and
this
this one
the
is based
found
off
poetry.
the Lorax. Unless, catch, it's a seed.
So with a found poem, they take a mentor text. It can be a whole story. It can be a page. Usually it's just a page from a story. And they go through and they circle all of the adjectives or the words that stand out to them. And then we make them go back and cull it down to a certain number of words. And then they have to just read those words, write those words out. So it's like, it's a free verse poem, but it's already created for them. And it works really good as a differentiation tool for people, for students who have trouble writing or spelling words, because they can read them, but they may not be able to write, or they may not like to write. So that all they have to do is, you know, circle. And then once they're done, they only have to write the words that they keep in. So she did this from the last page of the Lorax.
Treat it with care, grow a forest, protect it, then they may come back. Unless you care, nothing is going to get better.
Then they had to choose two. I'm gonna stop sharing there because the last two are just poems they had to find. But it's a great way for students to share, you know, again, using the audio and the video to help them. It makes it more real and makes them feel like published authors. Nancy, do you want to talk about some of the other ones? Oh, you're going to share. Let me stop sharing.
Oh, yes. I was going to share in the folder. Let me share my screen.
And while you were doing that, I was going to look for more of the
We've got in here the double journal PDF, the found poem instructions, I am from, here's the sensory figure. So all of that is there for you to access. We also did small moment stories with them. And
yes.
so that's in there as well. And like I said, I mean, we're working with graduate students, but we teach them in a way that we want them to do with their students. So I really feel like it's applicable. I mean, they're really kind of put back into being in an elementary school, but then talking about the implication of that. One of the really cool things that we did with them was also 2 voice poems where they kind of go back and forth on a poem on a certain topic. And so that is in there as well. So we've shared those formats with you so that you can access them and use them in your classroom. Anything that we've talked about is in there.
And the cool thing about small moments is small moment poems, and I'm going to put this in the chat for you. This is one of the sensory figure websites. It's talking about social studies, but it gives you some more outlines. Small moments is just taking like one little small moment. For example, think about one thing that you did today, and it might be that they say I got out of bed. I'm like, okay, so let's write down I got out of bed. So once they write down I got out of bed, then they have to say, okay, so when you got out of bed, what did you have to do to get out of bed? So it helps them become more better at writing, because it gives them the ability to expand by giving them a direction. So before you got out of bed, what did you have to do? Put my legs over the side. Oh yeah, but did you not have a blanket over you? Oh, I had to take the blanket off first. So it gives them, it takes those, that big idea and breaks it down into baby steps, and then helps them see how they can write better.
It's really good for differentiation, because they get overwhelmed when you're like, tell us about your summer vacation. And they're like, oh my gosh, I went here, I did there. So to take that one moment and really add all that detail is really good for students, because it helps them kind of be able to focus.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big problem of, that not knowing how to give the details that that you really are looking for.
Right.
Right.
Well, and I got first graders. I used to do it with them, and I would model it for them. So we would say, I'm like, oh, today I think for lunch I'm going to have this, and so we would take that. I would write that sentence on the board, and like, okay, help me. What did I have to do that? What did I have to do to make it? Where did I get the bread? Did it magically appear in my hands? It's kind of like writing a recipe, right? Where you bake the pie and you put it in the oven, but there's all these steps that happen before. Did the bread just jump into my hand? Oh no, I had to walk to the counter and pick up the bread and untie the bread. So we went through that whole process, and they saw how we went from one little bitty snippet and that was when we had the smart board. So when I first got the smart board, I did that with them. So it was fun. Nancy, you can keep sharing. I think the next, I don't know what's next.
Let me see. Oh no, cancel. Don't leave meeting.
Oh yeah, you're next anyway.
Okay, let me get back to my.
And look, we're almost done. We did good. Our time management was much better tonight.
Okay. So I am not on the right slide. Hang on.
We're almost there. You're almost there. Keep going.
Oh, I'm not getting. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Keep going.
There we go. All right. So, one of the things that we really emphasize with our students and wanted to share with you is that the more students read, students who read write better, students who read better, that kind of cyclical connection between the reading and the writing, and getting them to read their own writing is really one of the most key parts of it. And they do, I know with my students when I taught, because I taught middle school, and they would be so nervous about it initially, but then the more we did it, the more comfortable they got. And so giving them that opportunity. We even do things like poetry slams in class, where they come in and they share their poem, and everybody wears costumes and does different things, but taking that opportunity to make sure that they're engaging in both the reading and the writing process kind of simultaneously is really a key piece to building better readers and writers. And then we're at our questions. Donna, do you want to share your little poem?
So you learn to write better by reading. You learn to read better by writing. Reading and writing work together to improve your ability to think.